Welcome back. As you can see, we are back inside today, about to close out week 201 of the 100-mile week streak. Coming off a 200-mile week, I had a feeling that I might feel a little tired, but actually, surprisingly, it felt like just a normal week, to be honest, to me. I could definitely feel a hint of extra fatigue, but overall, not as difficult as I was thinking it would be, thankfully. So, yeah, I spaced it out pretty evenly. I still have a 5-mile and change run to go. So, yeah, overall, feeling okay. I took it a little slower than usual overall this week. And, yeah, finished the job. Week 201. Now right back on schedule to the 100, normal 100. So, the topic of today's video, after getting that out of the way, is resuming the countdown to my top run, my favorite runs that I've ever done. And 3 weeks ago now, so June 7 is when I discussed my ranking of numbers 5 through 10. I wish that I had spaced it out a little bit more and not had a 19-minute video, but, a longer closeout combo, who does that hurt? Nobody. Today, though, I've decided to space it out. We're only doing numbers 3 and 4, and that way I can go a little bit more in depth on each one, although I guess the second one I'll have a little bit more to talk about, but the first, well, we'll see. I'm just going to go. And recap of those first 5 through 10. If you didn't watch that, go watch that video, like I said 3 weeks ago. But to recap that, number 10 was, let me grab it right here. Number 10, the Heritage 50K in 2023. Number 9, Stockbridge 5K from high school. Number 8, Conference 10K that I did in college. Number 7 was the back-to-back sub-3 marathons that I did in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Number 6 was Lake Erie to Lake Ontario that Xander Bram and I made work despite having car trouble on that trip. That was the end of the run, first from Huron to Erie, then Erie to Ontario. Then number 5 was day 1 of resuming the run across Michigan last May. So, those are the 5 through 10. Thankfully, in the last 21 days, I haven't had a run necessarily surpass that. The 200-mile week that I did the marathon on my birthday night, or really birthday morning, and then the 30-miler that I did on Saturday, I guess could be a contender. They might crack the top 25, but I don't think they're hitting the top 10. And that leaves us with number 4. April 21st, 2025. One of the most historic running races you can possibly do as a runner. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of runners have the goal of running a marathon. Not just any marathon per se, but the Boston Marathon. For people that are able to qualify, which qualifying is still getting harder because so many people want to run this race. That's number 4. Last year, I did that and headed in. I did a 90-mile 5-day stretch from, what would that be? The Monday to Friday before. It's always on a Monday, 3rd Monday of April. And then I only did 10 on the Saturday, Sunday, as Xander and I were traveling out there. So I was super tapered, but I was not able to get in quite as many workouts as I was hoping. I've talked about this before, but it's incredibly hard to get effective workouts in while doing 100-mile weeks week on ends. Like in college, I could do it, but I would only do it maybe 4 or 5 weeks and be okay, and then start to come down. Anyways, it's hard to get effective workouts in. I probably could at this point, but when I get out there, I just feel fatigued a lot of time, and it's hard to predict when I'm gonna feel good and not. Anyways, did not know what to expect going in from my body. I had run a 247 before that for the qualifying. That was in March of 2024. Yeah. And so my plan, start conservative, because I have heard endlessly that you do not want to go out too hard in Boston and be caught dying on the hills at the end, which I'll get to. So miles 1 to 12, I was just super chill, hanging around 6, what would that be? 6 like 25, 30? Yeah, 6:25, 30. And I didn't have any specific time goal, but I was thinking 2:45 would be great. If I were under 2:45, if I just PR'd on itself, like in itself, that would be great, because it'll be the fastest I've ever run. And I saw a couple people I knew out there, which was great. Just happened to see people from Michigan during the race. And I got to talk about right now, before I forget, the environment of the Boston Marathon has to be unmatched. I know that people talk about like Chicago and New York as, you know, they're huge, which they are, bigger. But there's something special about Boston. Running down those roads leading into the city with literally not a moment of silence. If you've done the race, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not a moment of silence. There is always somebody on both sides to cheer for you. There will always be people around you to run with, or to run by, or to pass you. And that just leads to like an electric environment. And knowing the history of the race and feeling like you're a part of that history is what elevates it to the level that it's at, in my opinion. And continuing on with the race, once I hit halfway, I was like, it was 1:24:15-ish, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna start stepping it down. And also, before I forget, I was wearing a super shoe. I'm not a huge super shoe fan, so I don't even know which one it was. It was just the one that Xander said I should get. And I was wearing that, carbon plate, everything. And that definitely gave me a boost, literally. Definitely helped me achieve this time at the end. And started to drop it down. I was weirdly, sometimes marathons, you know, they can feel bad at different parts. A common part, I would say, is about 14 to 18. And, you know, right in the heart of the race, but you still have a lot to go. That is when I felt the absolute best, which was amazing, because feeling good, going faster than I was, feeling better than I was, and passing all these people. And the weather's perfect. That was the other thing. The weather was, 58, 59, 60 degrees and sunny pretty much the whole time. So I'm passing all these people. We get in. I pass a former runner of mine from Adrian, Brett Carlisle, I think around 16, 17. And then we get to Heartbreak Hill. Not gonna lie, and I've talked about this with other people that have done the race, not gonna lie, a little underwhelming. I was expecting it to be a little bit more difficult. Maybe that means I saved too much on it. But, everybody knows Heartbreak Hill on the Boston course. And I thought it was, a long, gradual, tough hill, but nothing insane like I've heard. Or, like it's built up to be. So, coming into town, past another former runner of mine, Robert Diebold, and at about 24. Now we're into the city. Now I'm finally starting to feel like the effects of, running a marathon. And yeah, there were still people shouting, turning that corner, the last corner. I forget the road. I know it starts with a B. But yeah, turning that corner, seeing the finish line way off in the distance is special. And crossing the line, I finished in 2:44:23 and was averaging about 6:15 by the end. So I went 1:24 and like 11 for the first half, then 1:20:12, I think were the exact splits. And yeah, really happy with that. Could not have been happier. So yeah, that's number 4. I could put it at number 1, but the rest of the 3 are just so meaningful to me. And at number 3, we have the most recent of these top 4. My longest run ever, 60 miles from the U of M Stadium, Big House, to Spartan Stadium in East Lansing. And I had attempted this run in June of 2024, but now it's October of 2025, so last year, and it is 2 days before the Michigan State football game. I'm running to the stadium that it will be played in. And I made it 35 the first time, which, that's great. But this time, had the goal to go further. And started off by myself in the dark. Then eventually Xander started to be my crew. I get past Chelsea, get out of Ann Arbor, get to Chelsea, keep going north, get to Stockbridge, where Tim and Klepaski meet us. By this time, I'm still feeling good. I have it ingrained in my head. I'm going to go 60. And I feel like it helps if I decide, this is how far I'm going to go. I have it in my mind. That's what I need to do. And 63, it was 63, but I ended up walking for segments, which cut it down. And yeah. By the end, by like 35, 40, once we got out of Stockbridge, it did start to get really hard. Thankfully, they traded through who was running with me, so I always had somebody. Except, I think, a small segment, maybe. And yeah, we also had to cross a river. Klepaski and I had to cross a river because we were 5 miles out, and it was the only way that we could go. So we had to do that. It was very cold. But then I changed socks and shoes and was okay. And then finishing up, getting to that stadium, hitting 60 for one day was just a great feeling. And getting the redemption as well felt great. So, yeah, that's still the longest run I've ever done. I might try to break it soon. We'll see. Maybe next year, maybe the end of this year. But yeah, that's number 4 and number 3. Next week, July 5th, number 2 and number 1. We'll be discussing those 2. And then the week after, previewing GLR. Then the week after that, reviewing GLR. So that's the agenda for the closeout combos. But yeah, number 4, Boston Marathon. Number 3, Big House of Spartan Stadium. There you go. See you next time.